Oh, it's absolutely delicious seeing EA taking a beating on their anti-consumer policies and average games, people. I'm loving it. Disney messed up giving the Star Wars IP to those idiots. Because we have to remember, Star Wars is for everyone, people. And EA don't make games for everyone. And they certainly don't make games anymore that you can just roll up into a shop and know exactly what you are paying that premium price for. Mom, buy me the new Star Wars game for Christmas, please. I want to play as Darth Vader. Okay, son. Christmas rolls up. Mom, can I borrow your credit card, please? It'll take me 40 hours to unlock Vader. Absolute trash. Then EA respond, and I say respond with quotations. EA respond by seemingly lowering the amount of play needed to obtain such characters, but also don't tell you that they've balanced it out by increasing something else somewhere within the game. Star Wars shouldn't belong to just EA. They are not the best studio to handle this family IP. I'm stunned that Disney hasn't partnered up with Nintendo yet to tackle some of their IPs. At the end of the day, that's what people say. Nintendo are the Disney of the video game world. Imagine a Moana game with a Wind Waker-like setting, with that beautiful ocean and a boat. It would be absolutely incredible. Or a 3D Mickey Mouse game based off the Mario Odyssey engine. Or give me a single-player game from Naughty Dog or Core Design, that focuses on Rey as a lead character before the events of The Force Awakens, which has her using her stick to fight bandits or something, or salvaging loot in downed Star Destroyers and whatnot. Get Blizzard to make a new real-time strategy game based in the Star Wars universe using the StarCraft engine. Hell, get them to do a new MMO. Get 343 Industries to make a first-person Stormtrooper game based off Captain Phasma. Just spread that Cromdam IP around to the best studios for the job. EA are trash, absolute trash, and without their claws being so deep in certain franchises, they'd be finished by now, or would be shown as the average studio that they have been for years. Kings of the AAA market my ass. To think, these guys have the money, marketing and manpower to call themselves AAA, and what do we get from them? Ask yourselves, people, is this the best the third-party industry has to offer? I don't bloody think so. Anyway, small rant over, and I'd rather talk about something more fun. So, we play video games for entertainment, right? At least that's how I feel. Thanks to the diverse nature of genres in video games, that entertainment can come in many varieties. But what do you class as fun in video games? Seeing how immensely fun Super Mario Odyssey is, it's a well-known fact that I find vastly more enjoyment from video games when Nintendo are at the helm, along with a small number of other developers, who constantly produce vibrant and immensely enjoyable titles. When I look at and play Mario Odyssey, it literally screams out fun, 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 to me. In fact, I'm sure if you looked in the dictionary and looked up the word fun, the description would read Mario Godassy. Everyone will have a different opinion. But for me, games like Mario Odyssey highlight the purest forms of what got most of us into video games in the first place. Or when I say most of us, I'm probably referring more to the people who grew up on Sega and Nintendo back in the day. That might sound harsh for those who grew up on Sony and Microsoft platforms, but both Sony and Microsoft created, for me, vastly different gaming environments over their lives when compared to something that Nintendo and Sega done. And this can make them feel like night and day in terms of what they offer. But anyway, I'm waffling off here. Let's get back to what I define as fun. And for me, that mostly stems down to games that don't take themselves too seriously. and of course those games actually being good to play. So for example, Bloodborne is heralded as a great game, one of the PlayStation 4's few great exclusives that many deem a must-play. I own and completed Bloodborne after much suffering and frustration. If someone asked me if I had fun playing that game, then the answer would be hell no. Not once did I have fun playing that game. Did I enjoy it? Nope. The game's bleak atmosphere, horrifying orchestral score, scary nature, and extremely difficult gameplay to master was nothing short of harrowing for the most part. But if you ask me, was it a great experience? Then I'd answer yes. Its dark gothic setting, its nightmarish bosses and edge of the seat encounters, even when the most basic of enemies kept me coming back for reasons I can't explain. But this was the nature of Bloodborne, I feel. It wasn't meant to be happy, fun. It was meant to be a grueling fight for your survival through Yharnam, and only the toughest of gamers would survive. Then you might ask, would I play it again? And the answer would be hell no! Then, on the opposite end of the spectrum, let's pick a game like Yoshi's Woolly World. Did I have fun playing this game? Well, that's an easy answer for me. Yes. Why, you might ask? Well, naturally its vibrant colours are, for me, vastly more appealing and comforting than the browns and blacks of Bloodborne. And, I'd like to think most people would find brighter, softer colours more appealing than darker tones. But hey, we all like different things. Then you have the gameplay of Yoshi's Woolly World, which is bouncy, amusing, and even cute, if you want to use that word. The music is what I consider to be classic video game music. Well thought out for each level, ensuring that it matches the theme, but also catchy and well composed, so that not only do you end up whistling along to it, you end up remembering which songs belongs to which levels. Throw in the skills that Yoshi has and use those for engaging gameplay mechanics throughout the levels, and you find yourself having a fun, enjoyable experience. Now you might say, yeah, but clearly the color palette and vibrancy naturally leads to a more pleasing experience. But let's compare Metal Gear Solid 5 to, say, The Witcher 3. If you were to ask me which game I had more fun with, let's not forget that fun. If you ask me which game I had more fun with, the easy answer would be Metal Gear Solid 5. This is all because the gameplay mechanics want you to have fun with the world. It wants you to mess around with the enemies or Fulton out horses, yet at the same time the setting and nature of the game wants to have a semi-serious tone to it. Compare that to The Witcher 3, and outside of a few funny little dialogue moments, the entire game is trying to be serious in all the time, both in gameplay and story. This is not a bad thing. Of course it's not a bad thing. Games are allowed to be serious, but we're talking about fun here. And not once did I have fun running around with Geralt, trying to bomb naked nests or something. I didn't have fun controlling Geralt. There was very little amusing or engaging about his character or interactions with the world via gameplay. But did I have a great experience similar to, say, Bloodborne? Absolutely. I was sucked into the world and lore of The Witcher 3, like most. But would I return to play the game again? Hell no. Not enjoyable gameplay for me at all. Then, as another example, let's compare Outrun 2 to, say, Gran Turismo. Both racing games, both with licensed cars, but also both vastly different experiences. For me, Outrun 2 is by far the winner in terms of pure fun. How could you not have fun powering through a fantasy outdoor setting in a Ferrari with your girlfriend next to you shouting, "I want to go fast!" whilst that utterly fantastic soundtrack blasts in the background and you power slide super unrealistically around corners. Compare that to Gran Turismo, which wants to be a serious racer. So all the cars strive for realism, which naturally affects the gameplay, and the tracks replicate real life racing tracks. And I've sat there listening to the droning of the car's engines as they go around these tracks, and I find nothing more boring and dull in my life. But then that's my opinion on most games that strive for realism or a form of simulation. For me, I play video games to escape the trappings of reality for the most part. Not to plug myself back into them. But there are many people who love those styles of games. People beg for another FIFA game, and I beg for another Soccer Brawl, which is actually just being announced for the Nintendo Switch, and that will be day one for me, people. I play that game so hard in the arcades. That is what I call a video game football game. Absolutely nuts and pure fun. When people play competitive multiplayer games online, where do we find the fun there? Many people enjoy playing Destiny's Iron Banner multiplayer, but I've always, questioned myself. Do they find the fun in the actual gameplay, or playing against other people, or being victorious? Perhaps there are those who find both. I've played both Destiny games and have touched the competitive multiplayer once or twice in the original. For me, I find nothing more repetitive and boring than simply shooting other players. Your typical game modes. That goes for most competitive multiplayer games of that nature. But then you have a game like Splatoon, a multiplayer game I love. So what's the difference? Is it the vibrant colours again, the fun upbeat soundtrack, the wacky characters? They all add to the fun for me, of course, but it's Splatoon's unique gameplay that keeps me coming back and enjoying every session. No two games ever feel the same, and that's because the dynamic nature of the gameplay and modes, namely Turf Battle and also the recent Summer Run in Splatoon 2. Killing the other player in this game is not the main objective. As we know, the winners are based off who inks the most surface area. It's this main focus that lets any player contribute in some way, ensuring that no matter what, you make a small difference, and because of that, even losing the game overall isn't the end of the world. And this I find immensely fun. It seems to skip that die-hard competitive nature of the game by adding in another dynamic for you to focus on. Someone asked me a while back, did I ever play any sports titles? I answered, of course, but the sports titles I played were not trying to be like real life. I played some, but the ones I played the most were not trying to be like real life. When people were playing Madden Football on the Mega Drive, I was playing Mutant League Football. That's a good EA game back in the day, way back in the day, people, way back when EA actually made some fun video games. When people were playing FIFA, I was playing Super Soccer or World Cup Strikers. When people were playing NBA Live, I was playing NBA Jam. When people were playing Fight Night, I was playing Ready to Rumble and Rocky. To have fun with a game for me is not to be serious, but to liven up and entertain in all aspects. I have many friends who play Destiny, who find the most fun in playing as a team. And with the team focus, that alone can make the experience far more fun than if you were playing alone or even with random players. We're in an industry now where all the big blockbusters, for many developers, fight for the right to be the most serious and epic, and you see that obviously more from the likes of the Sony and Microsoft gaming markets, who like to focus on that type of content, which is fine. But then this even relates to games based on comic books, being too serious in their approach when it comes to a AAA title, for example, and you can look no further than the aesthetics or graphical presentation, the character designs, to say Injustice as an example. Outside of Nintendo and many indie studios and a few other studios, of course, the video game world has become, for me, a more serious place. One that wants to tell stories of epic proportions or touch upon adult themes, a realm where these themes can ground the gameplay of the game into a form of reality. From my perspective, restricting in many ways your fun with the character you're controlling. A realm where soundtracks want to match Hollywood, but get stuck in their over-orchestrated need to sound epic, but then become utterly forgettable or lacking individuality. These games have their place, of course. This is not the argument. Don't mistake that. The argument has always been: are you having fun, or are you entertained in a positive way that leads you to having fun and smiling and just really enjoying the moments? And if so, please let me know what games you class as fun, and or even which ones you don't. Now if you would excuse me, I'm off to have a blast on Mario Odyssey and perhaps some ARMS and Splatoon 2, a few games that I class as pure video gaming fun. So, as always, thanks for listening, people, and please chuck some comments below and I'll get back to you every single time. Peace.